Welcome to Wealth Matters Podcast. I have with me Mr. Adam Jason today. How are you, Adam?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me, Alpesh. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Adam is a serial entrepreneur, someone like me, but way far ahead in the game. so uh, he has done lots of work in the real estate industry, actually. He's originally from Buffalo, New York. He has a bachelor's degree from Ithaca College, right, and junior doctorate. And then he lives in Colombia right now. So he has lots of stories as well respect to real estate investments. He's founder of BRRRRinvest.com, and that's what we'll talk about. It's BRRRR by rehab, refinance, repeat, and he will of course talk about it. And then he's partner in one of the other business called lifeofrinvestments.com. He's also, he was a partner in general, or he's a partner in general counseling at Legacy Group. So, of course, Adam, feel free to add if I forgot anything or if I did not do justice to your bio.
Sure. Yeah. Like you said, originally from Buffalo and have, attorney by trade. Found my way now down to Medellin, Colombia, where I live and work as general counsel for a real estate firm based out of here. Do my own real estate investing and also, as you said, dabble in a host of entrepreneurial type ventures, including BRRRR Invest, the website that we're talking about today. Just try and live a full, exciting life. I'm, engaged and marrying a great Colombian girl whose birthday is today. So,
oh wow,
taking nice. A little time to join you, but I'm excited to be here. Happy to answer questions, and it's a fun story, and I guess a fun ride of growing up in the snow in Buffalo, and now someplace and learning another language and doing some fun, exciting projects all over the world now. So
that's awesome.
Diverse background.
Hey, so can you tell me how you got started in real estate and when?
Sure. Yeah, I think in terms of my official start in real estate, it would come from my experience as an attorney. I worked for some of the largest real estate investment trusts that based out of the U.S. I was a big firm corporate attorney for about 8 years there, working in the securities and corporate governance world, and kind of used that experience to then get into some of my own investing. And then as I came to Colombia as a potential investor, found the company that I currently am a partner with that specializes in boutique investment hotels, short-term rental buildings. Right now we have about 200 units across Colombia. We have a couple of boutique hotels based in Puerto Rico and a boutique hotel in Portugal. And we've brought in about 80 million in funds for various projects that we raised through 506c offerings in the U.S. My experience as a landlord and an investor, maybe like many folks that come to this, happened by accident. I was a homeowner in 2012. I lived in Cleveland at the firm that I was at. Was moving to another location and wanted to rent my place. I found tenants who I guess were exactly at the time, I guess maybe young and irresponsible. So my house that I was renting turned into, a crash pad for them and their buddies, and there was parties and the neighbors hated me. It was a tough experience, but kept my head up and now have figured out and put in place the systems and process I need to be successful in that realm. So now I focus most of my investing on a personal level back in the Buffalo area. I know, kind of every street there, having grown up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I also have a good team there in terms of contractors and lenders, and my mom's my best employee when it comes to going and checking out property. And then I also do passive investment in real estate through the business that I'm in as a partner, and then also in our individual projects, I'll allocate some capital to those. So
Got it.
try and spread things around a little bit,
Wow.
and that's the experience.
So you are doing a lot. So can you tell my listeners what is BRRRR? And actually, I'm going to have David Green on my podcast to actually uh,
Ah,
decipher BRRRR. But for the sake of our, why, because we are going to go through the website. So can you just define BRRRR in simple words?
sure. So BRRRR obviously is an acronym for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. I think it's a strategy that's been, implemented by investors for a long time. Has obviously become popular through Bigger Pockets and other sources like that, and then just
Right.
described kind of all over the internet. But the idea and the notion is, you buy a price or you buy a property under value. I'm seeing that you can do it not only in residential, but the projects that we're doing on the company level are also
Yeah.
eligible. We're doing it for hotels. So, you
Yeah.
buy a distressed asset, fix it up through the rehab process, stabilize the property, whether that's through putting a tenant in or operating the project. Once you've increased the value of the asset, you go to your bank and say, hey, it was worth $100,000.
Right.
Now it's worth $150,000. I want to lend against the property. They return the capital to you, hopefully as much as possible, as much that you put into the project, and then you're able to take that capital, invest in another project, and keep that cycle going. And now you have a well-valued asset that has a tenant in place or an operator.
Right.
That's covering the costs and expenses related to that. So that's the general notion. I hope I
Right.
did that.
No, that was great, and I'm glad that you explained it, because of course we are going to talk about a single family duplex is basically anything up to 4 units, but it works in any kind of real estate, right? And that's what a lot of these multifamily syndicators call it, as heavy value add, right? They say,
Yes.
oh, we are going to do heavy value add in the apartment building, and year 2 or 3 we will refinance and pay most of the principal back to investors. So it's pretty much BRRRR, right?
Right.
So yes.
Right.
So no, that was great. Can you tell me or my listeners about what was your first BRRRR deal and what did you learn from it?
Sure. My first one was a single family residence that I bought off the MLS. It was, I think, 100,000. We put super simple just to get my feet wet on this. We put about, I think it was like 8,700, 9,000.
Okay. Not too bad.
No, not this simple.
Yeah.
All those houses up in Buffalo are like 1950s houses, and if they
Right.
were taken care of, and then unfortunately you have turnovers in generations and people who have left the area
Right.
and
Of course.
selling those. So super simple in terms of the rehab, which was good. It gave me gave me the ability to find a contractor that I like working with, establish a relationship there with a local
Right.
bank that I'm able to use for my projects. So I guess it's anticlimactic versus some of the stories I hear from other people, but it was a relatively simple process. And the bank, I think, usually they require 6 months before you can do
Right. Seasoning period.
the refi. And I don't know, I'm one who didn't read the company policy closely enough, and we're actually refi almost immediate. I think we finished the refi in like 2 weeks after the closing. So it was like a week after we got the tenant in that we moved forward with the refi. So took that money and bought another property, and just kept the process going from there. So super simple. I think in that one, I ended up leaving after the refi about 8,000 in the project.
Nice.
So, that's one of the challenges, is working through and understanding kind of what the aftermarket values once you finish the rehab. And I think the one thing you learn is banks are always more conservative than MLS and sellers.
Oh, yes, of course.
says, etc. So it teaches you, I think, if the goal is to recoup as much of your capital as possible, to make sure that you're being conservative and you're looking at, like any investment, the potential downside and what your risks are. I think that the big one being, contractors and banks, all the stuff you can't control and all the things that
Right.
headaches. So
No, that's great. So even personally, I did not know about BRRRR till I was once I started buying, because I started with the turnkey properties from turnkey
yeah,
providers. But even then, I was able to do BRRRR without knowing about it. So
yeah,
because I had bought properties from one turnkey provider, about a couple of them, and then the third was a duplex, and I negotiated the price down with him. I'm like,
yeah,
I have already bought from you. You got to. So I remember that he came, he's listed it to all his investors for 95 grand.
yeah,
I kept negotiating, going back and forth, and there was a double, because they tried to do double close and there was an issue. So I ended up getting it for 87,500.
okay,
Very rare because they never do that, turnkey providers. And of course, after then they started the rehab project, because in this case, they would buy it on your cash and then they do the rehab. 6 months
right,
after that, I thought, okay, I want to get all my cash out because I have paid cash. Um,
yeah,
I went to the bank and we refinanced it, and I did not know. And the bank came back and said, oh, it's a price at 105. And I said, wow, I didn't do
yeah,
anything. I didn't
right,
even had to manage any contracts. So didn't do anything. I was just hoping that it would, a price at that value. Uh, and I was able to get most of my money back. I have, I think, 10 grand left in the deal. Uh,
yeah,
and the rents are pretty good, 1,200 bucks a month, because it's two
yeah,
units. So it worked
yeah,
out. But then I realized that, okay, this works. So I did another deal where I bought a property directly from wholesaler, and then I rehabbed it. Something like what you exactly did, put about 10 grand in.
sure.
And same thing, I'm planning to refinance it right now because the rates are dropping, and I can see that I may not have any money in the deal, most probably.
Oh, that's great.
So
Uh,
yeah,
people are
somehow it
gonna,
works out.
people
Not
are,
knowing even about it.
yeah. Oh, that's excellent. I think people are going to watch this and think that it's easier than it always is, because we don't have the horror stories.
Right.
But
Yeah, no, I do have horror stories as well. So I'm just talking about BRRRR, but my very
okay,
first investment was a disaster and I had lost all my money. So,
yeah,
but yeah, so of course, there is a lot of moving pieces when you're trying to do BRRRR. So yeah, everyone be careful.
yeah, yeah,
so,
for sure.
so how many BRRRR deals have you done so far, Adam?
I'm on number 11.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm just getting into the point where it's shifting to alternative funding sources and working on that, because I'm running out of capacity
right.
for FHA loans and that kind of thing. So that's
Right.
kind of transition to the business. And honestly, it's okay right now. The market has been, I think, challenging. Definitely
Yes.
where I invest, and then in many parts of the
It's
country,
almost everywhere right now.
finding good deals. So, I really like to look at it as, for me, it's a fun thing, and I love it. I like
Uh-huh.
investing back in Buffalo, and it's a community, and I know that, I'm kind of contributing to where I came from. So I would really look at more of an opportunity type approach rather than focusing on it as like it's not my main business, but it's as opportunities come up, I have super specific criteria, super specific neighborhoods that I look at, and I found that to be easy in terms of, if it's there, I make an offer, and if it's not in that area, I don't even look at it, because there's
Yes.
a ton of stuff to do. So,
And I think an important point you mentioned, that you're doing it for fun, right? So at
yeah,
some point, if you're an active investor, you have to have some kind of fun with investing.
you
Otherwise,
do.
it's going to become your daytime job again, and then you're going to complain about it. Oh, this
Right.
thing doesn't work. But you should be. able to enjoy. Otherwise, be passive investor, right? Nothing wrong with
Right.
it, right? And as you mentioned,
Absolutely.
you invest passively. I personally invest passively as well. I do
Right.
both, right? But you know, active investing is for someone who after a while enjoys this thing, right? Maybe for
Right.
first couple of times you are trying to learn the ropes, and
Yeah.
of course you are going to make mistakes, fail, but once you figure this out, then you got to have fun with it, right?
Yeah. No, it's fun building stuff and seeing projects come together.
Right, right. So how did you get the idea about BRRRRinvest.com?
Sure. So as I mentioned, I'm doing my own investing, and I realized that as I was going through the process of analyzing deals, making offers on deals, contracting with my contractors, property managers, tenants, etc., I was creating a lot of resources that I was using in my own investing in my own business. And I was like, wow, I think these could add a lot of value to other folks. As I mentioned, my background is as an attorney.
Right,
I've been able to the one thing I think that's helped is been able to manage my deals under the legal terms that I know are helpful. So I said, I'm drafting these contracts for contractors, property managers, tenants, etc., with the eye of an investor and also through the eye of an attorney, so I can make contracts that are super beneficial to the investor. So instead of saying, oh, I'm just going to go get something off Google or another
right,
resource and have somebody sign it, I've got clauses in the contracts that have, automatic renewal provisions, things that include bonuses and penalties for contractors. Really kind of tried to build these in a way that benefit investors, declining fees for your
right.
manager as your portfolio increases in size, strict penalties for late rent, all these kind of different things that I know would benefit me that, most people would say, I got to hire an attorney to do this, or you just don't even think about it when you get into investing about these kind of
Right.
terms. So I said, if I can build a tool where people are able to analyze deals in a click-through fashion, enter the information just like I would for my own, be able to compare different options for transactions. So right now, when I look at a deal, I look at it, would it be a good BRRRR? Would it be a good flip? And what are the different ways in which I'm going to finance this? So I'll look at it and say, should I do this with my own cash? Should I look at it through a traditional bank loan? Should I look at it with a hard money option? And all of those are built into our calculator, so you can quickly and easily see what the returns are going to be for the next 5 years if you're going to hold the property, or what the returns are going to be on a one-time basis if you might decide to flip the property, and you can compare those. I then said, one thing, obviously, one key metric for getting deals is making offers. So I want to create something for folks to use where if they say, I love this deal, all they have to do is click through and our solution generates automatically for them an offer letter that they can send to a seller. If they're a direct mail investor, they can produce them quickly and send them by mail, or you can send them to your agent and say, here's the terms that I want our contract to be based on. And I think it does a good job of helping people to not forget the things that they might in terms of different contingencies or potentially presenting different options. And maybe you want to say, I'll buy it. Maybe you're going to try and arrange a seller financing arrangement. Different kind of options that, if you're just, every time you do another deal, you start from scratch, you might not have these things in mind or something might slip. Then the next portion of it, like I said, was really to try and use my legal skills, my experience with investors, as an investor, my experience dealing with contractors and property managers,
Right.
they need to be managed, to put that into a contractual form where investors can literally just click through the contracts. You put, the property address, etc. You can modify the terms, save your own templates if there's a certain thing that you want to include in your contracts. Some people might allow pets for their tenants, etc. But it's really there so that for every project you do, there's a consistency across the terms of all the people that you're hiring and that are part of your team, and then a consistency across the leases that you're entering with your tenants. So there's no surprise because the agreement you use for one tenant is different than the other, or you did a contract with a property manager and you had this super favorable provision to you that lets the price of the management fees decline over time, and then you forgot to include it in another contract, or just the cost and expense that obviously comes with trying to find a lawyer who has an experience as an investor as well, who could put contracts together like this, really gives people a good starting and jumping off point where they can say, all right, if I sign a contract on these terms, I'm going to at least have the provisions that as an investor would make this favorable to me. So I put that together, and it's really set up as a subscription service that is meant to be a click-through, helpful resource for investors to get a lot of deals done quickly and in a way where they can have confidence in the process.
Okay, no, that's very interesting. So basically, BRRRRinvest.com is a website, and then let's say I become a member, and as soon as I log in, what do I see? I'm able to add a property, and then I'm able to pretty much analyze the property.
Exactly. So you can enter any property that you're able to find or would be interested in running. You the numbers on, you select the type of financing and kind of the strategy that you're going for. And then all of your projects are saved in a neat place. So if you have 10 projects you've done, you're going to see the analysis that you did for that one, the offer letter you made for it, and all the contracts that you have in place for that project in a neat place. So it also helps on the organization when you're trying to send lease agreements to lenders to refinance projects, remembering all the terms of your contracts. Everything's there in a neat place for you.
Got it.
We have also a series of additional resources. The one that's been popular among folks so far is our interview tool. So we basically created a tool that you can use when you're on the phone with property managers, lenders, contractors, agents. We have preset questions that really kind of are going to answer the material things that you're going to want to know about each that you talk to. And you can include all the information as you have those conversations, and then you're able to compare four folks in each category side by side. So if you're looking for a lender, you could interview four of them, and then at the end compare their answers, in a format, and be able to see who you want to work with.
Sorry to interrupt. So those questions are already prepared for me, or am I typing my own questions?
Questions are already prepared, and then there's an option to include additional questions that you might want to ask. But the questions are the same that I do the folks that I work with, and I think it really, in the case of a lender, for example, gets at the material questions of the transaction. So, you're not going to forget to ask about rates. You're not going to forget to request rate sheets. You're not going to forget to find out what origination costs are. You're not going to forget to ask if they can hold the loan in the name of your LLC. A whole lot of things where it's easy to let something slip, and then you got to go back and you don't have answers. So the goal is to keep everything, organized and neat for folks, and help them to ask the questions that they might not know that they need to ask.
So, and does the same thing apply to contractors and property manager as well? When I'm interviewing contractors, am I able to see a template of questions?
Exactly. So we have it right now set up for real estate agents, contractors, lenders, and property managers.
Okay, awesome.
all of those folks. We've also put in place, we have some cool tools again to help. The goal of this is really make it easy and enjoyable and keep it organized for people. So we have a deal checklist that you walk through, for each project you do, and goes down to, it goes from the high level of making sure you have a lender lined up to making sure you have a lockbox on the house so that contractors can get in. And that's, something that also seems to be popular with folks. Again, it's just, especially early on, it's before you have your own systems and procedures in place, it's easy to let things slip. We wanted to set up things also for people who are interested in partnering with folks and need to present in a professional manner what a partnership might look like.
I see.
We have some tools here that you can use to, if I want to partner with you, Alpesh, I want to make a good presentation. What does that mean? I need to tell you what the project is, what the financials would look like, how we're going to work together, what the goal is for the project, comps are, so that you can analyze them yourself and form a good decision as to whether you want to pursue the project. So all those kind of resources are also available outside of the subscription. Some of them are free, some of them come with a cost, and we're able to assist in preparing all those items and have consultation options available. So it's really meant to be a full spectrum of resources for people who are interested in real estate investing.
Got it. So let's say I found a property, right? If you can take me through like just a step-by-step process. Again, we don't have to go, in detail. But once I put the address of the property in, am I able to use, or should I be using this website before I put an offer or after an offer, or what is the best time?
Sure. So if you find a property and you punch the information in the analysis tool, you're going to get your 5-year returns in the case that it's going to be a buy and hold BRRRR project. It's going to give you your returns if you're going to do a flip project, and you can go back and modify them. Okay. I want actually, what does this have to look like so that I can get a 15% return? What does it look like to cash flow at the amount that I want, etc. See if it works. Once you've set up the analysis and reach the numbers that you're happy with, as soon as you save it, you can go on to the next step, and it'll automatically generate an offer letter for you based on the last terms of the analysis that you were happy with. So if you put terms in that got you to a 15% ROI, and you're going to make $200 a month in cash flow, let's say, the information that populates the offer letter is going to be the information that you would need to get accepted to get those kind of returns. And then it gives you the flexibility to add additional contingencies or waive contingencies, or however you want to structure your project. Once you get the offer accepted, then those contract tools come into play and become available for you. So, okay, Alpesh, you have this project under contract. Now it's time to hire your property manager. You're going to BRRRR the property, or it's time to hire your contractor, and you're going to want to present them with the contract that you want to agree to and that you want to put them on. So that's where that next phase of the process comes in.
I see. So, and also, because you did mention that pretty much the website will be able to generate contracts for agents, right? Between you and the agent, between investors and contractors, between investors and property manager, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say, just an example, at least most of the property managers, they have their own contract, right?
Yeah.
And if they send me the contract, how am I able to tell them or ask them that, oh, you should be using my contract? Most of the time, they are the big fish, because they're already, let's say, managing 200, 400 units. They already have their contracts nailed down, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the property manager you work with, and that's one of the questions we have set up in our interview tool as to kind of what the contracting process is. What I've found in my personal experience is it's not a great idea to go with like the big boy property management companies, how many units, that yours isn't going to be a priority for them.
Right.
I like to work with people who I can pick up the phone and call and can lack of a better term, control the relationship with. So this is really meant for that case. Or worst case scenario, if you're committed to going with somebody who is going to, I guess, push you around in a sense, you can at least use the contracts here to say, this just isn't right. This doesn't align with what somebody that was looking at this through the eyes of an investor would want to see. And maybe it gives you some negotiating ability. But the goal of this solution is that you're the one being proactive to present to the service providers what you want the contracts to look like and give you the basis to negotiate.
Got it. But let's say, for example, even if it's a small fish and they have their own contract or maybe a contractor or someone, am I able to, as an investor, upload a contract which I am receiving from property manager and get input from your team?
Yeah, I mean, that would come more into our consultation service. If we're looking at somebody's contract, be happy to do it and say, here's kind of what we would push back on, and this is not going to be beneficial for you, or here's how our experience as to how a contract provision like this works in practice and who it benefits. So that if people are going outside of the contracts we've prepared, we're happy to look at them and can do it through our subscription our consultation option and provide feedback as people wish, for sure.
Got it. And what else does the website does, which we did not discuss?
I think those are the subscription service is obviously the highlight, given the click-through nature of it and the ease of use. I think the consults we just touched on in terms of the ability to help people on more of an individualized basis. The checklist that we've created that keep people focused. We've got some business incorporation checklists available for those that are in forming an LLC, and here's the steps that you should take there, etc. We've got our broader consultation for helping with partner propositions. So as I mentioned to you, if we were going to work together and I wanted to present you with a transaction, and then we also take pride in the information that we're providing to people through our blog and additional resources. And I hope it's a learning tool for people. We've established a great community on Facebook. We got about 2,500 people in the group, but it's super active, and the conversation I think is valuable. And there's links obviously to our social media on the website. And we've also set up on the homepage a tool that you can use to enter the number of deals that you expect to do per year, and also your annual income. And basically it allows you to assess how much using the subscription service and the tools we provide would save you in terms of cost of your time, and also
awesome.
out-of-pocket cash, so that you can say, hey, this really, what would it cost me to hire an attorney every time I do this deal, or what would it cost me time to modify contracts over and over, etc.
Right. Yeah, going back and forth even with the attorney, right? The amount of time you spend.
So that's an easy one. So if you say, okay, I'm going to do 2 deals a year, it more than pays for itself, and especially in terms of time and the certainty. And I just don't think it's easy to find people that can help you in this space, whether it's on the attorney level or just trying to find something on Google where people are putting things together from that investor perspective.
Right.
Like I said, I do this for a living, and also through the real estate firm that I counsel for. So, we're buying multi-million-dollar projects all over the world, and the provisions that we're using there that are beneficial to us are going to show up in the contracts that you're buying to you're using to buy your single family homes in the market that you enjoy. So, it's a solution that I think could really provide some value to people because of that professional nature of it, and also that it's done through the eyes of an investor.
That's awesome. Hey, Adam, so let's switch gears. I want to talk about, what you're up to, and any tools or websites you can recommend to investors other than BRRRRinvest.com or entrepreneurs.
And can you be a little more specific? I'm not sure exactly what
Like any real estate investors who is starting out, if you have any tools or websites you use all the time or you recommend, or something you cannot live without.
Sure. I think in terms of finding deals, obviously there's a lot of different ways to go about that. I still get a lot of deals through the MLS and the publicly available resources. Also get suggestions from property manager.
Right.
We work together through a site called HomeWise, which I think is good for estimating costs, which I know is a big question for a lot of folks. No, and I think there's a lot of good content out there now through resources like Bigger Pockets and Cast and other things where people are able to educate themselves before they jump in. And I think that is it's a balance, right, between trying to know everything and never take versus
that's the biggest problem, right?
Yeah.
People want to learn everything but then never take action. And there are people like me who take action first and then figure out, okay, I got to learn this.
Yes, there's a balance, and you learn.
It's hard. So
you learn by doing.
Any business or finance or real estate book you recommend?
Gosh, the book I think that me the most is Never Split the Difference by
Chris Voss. Yeah, it's an amazing book.
I love that
book. Yeah.
Negotiation for a lot of people is an uncomfortable proposition. It's a lot easier. Like, I guess the title of the book says, well, let's just meet in the middle. But I can tell you, I think in terms of books that have saved me the most amount of money, that would be one of them. I use the principles there for my business. We, for example, we have a hotel project right now that we're buying the asset and has a substantial liability with the tourism department there. And, we negotiated the debt with them down from the full price down to about 20% on the dollar. And a lot of it was by using in that book.
That's amazing.
it helped me to be more comfortable, I guess, being more aggressive, but also kind of firm in knowing what you want. So I think that's a great book for business and real estate and in general. So I tend to like to take those broader principles and try and apply them in all the different projects that I have going on. So that would definitely be my first recommendation for folks.
That's awesome.
Yes.
No, thank you so much, Adam. I thoroughly enjoyed the interview.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.